The Book of the Secrets of Enoch. This new fragment of early literature came to light through certain manuscripts which were recently found in Russia and Serbia, and so far as is yet known has been preserved only in Slavonic. Little is known of its origin except that in its present form, it was written somewhere about the beginning of the Christian era. Its final editor was a Greek, and the place of its composition Egypt. Its value lies in the unquestioned influence which it has exerted on the writers of the New Testament, some of the dark passages of the latter being all but inexplicable without its aid. Although the very knowledge that such a book ever existed was lost for probably 1,200 years, it nevertheless was much used by both Christian and heretic in the early centuries, and forms a most valuable document in any study of the forms of early Christianity. The writing appeals to the reader who thrills to lend wings to his thoughts and fly to mystical realms. Here is a strange dramatization of eternity, with views on creation, anthropology, and ethics. As the world was made in 6 days, so its history would be accomplished in 6,000 years, and this would be followed by 1,000 years of rest. At its close would begin the 8th eternal day, when time should be no more. Chapter 1, an account of the mechanism of the world showing the machinery of the sun and moon in operation. Astronomy and an interesting ancient calendar. See chapter 15-17, also 21. What the world was like before creation. See chapter 24. Chapter 26 is especially picturesque, a unique account of how Satan was created. There was a wise man, a great artificer, and the Lord conceived love for him and received him, that he should behold the uppermost dwellings and be an eyewitness of the wise and great and inconceivable and immutable realm of God Almighty, of the very wonderful and glorious and bright and many-eyed station of the Lord's servants, and of the inaccessible throne of the Lord, and of the degrees and manifestations of the incorporeal hosts, and of the ineffable ministration of the multitude of the elements, and of the various apparition and inexpressible singing of the host of cherubim, and of the boundless light. At that time, he said, when my 165th year was completed, I begat my son Methuselah. After this too I lived 200 years and completed of all the years of my life 365 years. On the first day of the first month, I was in my house alone and was resting on my couch and slept. And when I was asleep, great distress came up into my heart, and I was weeping with my eyes in sleep, and I could not understand what this distress was, or what would happen to me. And there appeared to me 2 men, exceeding big, so that I never saw such on earth. Their faces were shining like the sun, their eyes too were like a burning light, and from their lips was fire coming forth with clothing, and singing of various kinds in appearance purple. Their wings were brighter than gold, their hands whiter than snow. They were standing at the head of my couch and began to call me by my name. And I arose from my sleep and saw clearly those 2 men standing in front of me. And I saluted them, and was seized with fear, and the appearance of my face was changed from terror. And those men said to me, "Have courage, Enoch, do not fear. The eternal God sent us to thee, and lo, thou shalt today ascend with us into heaven, and thou shalt tell thy sons and all thy household all that they shall do without thee on earth in thy house, and let no one seek thee till the Lord return thee to them." And I made haste to obey them, and went out from my house, and made to the doors, as it was ordered me, and summoned my sons Methuselah, and Rajam, and Gidad, and made known to them all the marvels those men had told me. Chapter 2, the instruction. How Enoch instructed his sons. Listen to me, my children. I know not whither I go, or what will befall me. Now therefore, my children, I tell you, turn not from God before the face of the vain, who made not heaven and earth. For these shall perish, and those who worship them. And may the Lord make confident your hearts in the fear of him. And now, my children, let no one think to seek me, until the Lord return me to you. Chapter 3, of Enoch's assumption, how the angels took him into the first heaven. It came to pass, when Enoch had told his sons, that the angels took him on to their wings and bore him up onto the first heaven and placed him on the clouds. And there I looked, and again I looked higher, and saw the ether, and they placed me on the first heaven and showed me a very great sea, greater than the earthly sea. Chapter 4, of the angels ruling the stars. They brought before my face the elders and rulers of the stellar orders, and showed me 200 angels, who rule the stars and their services to the heavens, and fly with their wings and come round all those who sail. Chapter 5, of how the angels keep the storehouses of the snow. And here I looked down and saw the treasure houses of the snow, and the angels who keep their terrible storehouses, and the clouds whence they come out and into which they go. Chapter 6, of the dew and of the olive oil, and various flowers. They showed me the treasure house of the dew, like oil of the olive, and the appearance of its form, as of all the flowers of the earth. Further, many angels guarding the treasure houses of these things, and how they are made to shut and open. Chapter 7, of how Enoch was taken on to the second heaven. And those men took me, and led me up onto the second heaven, and showed me darkness, greater than earthly darkness. And there I saw prisoners hanging, watched, awaiting the great and boundless judgment. And these angels were dark-looking, more than earthly darkness, and incessantly making weeping through all hours. And I said to the men who were with me, Wherefore are these incessantly tortured? They answered me, These are God's apostates, who obeyed not God's commands, but took counsel with their own will, and turned away with their prince, who also is fastened on the fifth heaven. And I felt great pity for them. And they saluted me, and said to me, Man of God, pray for us to the Lord. And I answered to them, Who am I, a mortal man, that I should pray for angels? Who knoweth whither I go, or what will befall me, or who will pray for me? Chapter 8, of the assumption of Enoch to the third heaven. And those men took me thence, and led me up onto the third heaven, and placed me there. And I looked downwards, and saw the produce of these places, such as has never been known for goodness. And I saw all the sweet-flowering trees, and beheld their fruits, which were sweet-smelling, and all the foods borne by them bubbling with fragrant exhalation. And in the midst of the trees that of life, in that place whereon the Lord rests, when he goes up into paradise, and this tree is of ineffable goodness and fragrance, and adorned more than every existing thing, and on all sides it is in form gold-looking and vermilion and fire-like, and covers all, and it has produced from all fruits. Its root is in the garden at the earth's end. And paradise is between corruptibility and incorruptibility. And 2 springs come out which send forth honey and milk, and their springs send forth oil and wine, and they separate into 4 parts, and go round with quiet course, and go down into the paradise of Eden, between corruptibility and incorruptibility. And thence they go forth along the earth, and have a revolution to their circle even as other elements. And here there is no unfruitful tree, and every place is blessed. And there are 300 angels very bright, who keep the garden, and with incessant sweet singing and never silent voices serve the Lord throughout all days and hours. And I said, How very sweet is this place! And those men said to me, Chapter 9, the showing to Enoch of the place of the righteous and compassionate. This place, O Enoch, is prepared for the righteous who endure all manner of offense from those that exasperate their souls, who avert their eyes from iniquity, and make righteous judgment, and give bread to the hungering, and cover the naked with clothing, and raise up the fallen, and help injured orphans, and who walk without fault before the face of the Lord, and serve him alone. And for them is prepared this place for eternal inheritance. Chapter 10. Here they showed Enoch the terrible place and various tortures. And those 2 men led me upon to the northern side, and showed me there a very terrible place. And there were all manner of tortures in that place, cruel darkness and unillumined gloom, and there is no light there, but murky fire constantly flameth aloft. And there is a fiery river coming forth, and that whole place is everywhere fire, and everywhere there is frost and ice, thirst and shivering, while the bonds are very cruel, and the angels fearful and merciless, bearing angry weapons, merciless torture. And I said, Woe, woe, how very terrible is this place! And those men said to me, This place, O Enoch, is prepared for those who dishonor God, who on earth practice sin against nature, which is child corruption after the sodomitic fashion, magic-making, enchantments, and devilish witchcrafts, and who boast of their wicked deeds, stealing, lies, calumnies, envy, rancor, fornication, murder, and who accursed steal the souls of men, who, seeing the poor, take away their goods and themselves wax rich, injuring them for other men's goods, who being able to satisfy the empty, made the hungering to die, being able to clothe, stripped the naked, and who knew not their Creator, and bowed down to soulless gods, who cannot see nor hear, vain gods who also built hewn images and bow down to unclean handiwork. For all these is prepared this place amongst these for eternal inheritance. Chapter 11. Here they took Enoch up onto the fourth heaven, where is the course of sun and moon. Those men took me and led me up onto the fourth heaven, and showed me all the successive goings, and all the rays of the light of sun and moon. And I measured their goings and compared their light, and saw that the sun's light is greater than the moon's, its circle and the wheels on which it goes always, like a wind going past with very marvelous speed, and day and night it has no rest. Its passage and return are accompanied by 4 great stars, and each star has under it 1,000 stars, to the right of the sun's wheel, and by 4 to the left, each having under it 1,000 stars, altogether 8,000, issuing with the sun continually. And by day 15 myriads of angels attended, and by night 1,000. And 6 winged ones issue with the angels before the sun's wheel into the fiery flames, and 100 angels kindle the sun and set it alight. Chapter 12. Of the very marvelous elements of the sun. And I looked and saw other flying elements of the sun, whose names are phoenixes and chalkidri, marvelous and wonderful, with feet and tails in the form of a lion, and a crocodile's head. Their appearance is empurpled, like the rainbow. Their size is 900 measures. Their wings are like those of angels, each has 12. And they attend and accompany the sun, bearing heat and dew, as it is ordered them from God. Thus the sun revolves and goes, and rises under the heaven, and its course goes under the earth with the light of its rays incessantly. Chapter 13. The angels took Enoch, and placed him in the east, at the sun's gates. Those men bore me away to the east, and placed me at the sun's gates, where the sun goes forth according to the regulation of the seasons and the circuit of the months of the whole year, and the number of the hours day and night. And I saw 6 gates open, each gate having 61 stadia and 1/4 of 1 stadium, and I measured them truly, and understood their size to be so much, through which the sun goes forth, and goes to the west, and is made even, and rises throughout all the months, and turns back again from the 6 gates according to the succession of the seasons. Thus the period of the whole year is finished after the returns of the 4 seasons. Chapter 14. They took Enoch to the west. Again those men led me away to the western parts, and showed me 6 great gates open corresponding to the eastern gates, opposite to where the sun sets, according to the number of the days 360 to 5 1/4. Thus again it goes down to the western gates, and draws away its light, the greatness of its brightness, under the earth. For since the crown of its shining is in heaven with the Lord, and guarded by 400 angels, while the sun goes round on wheel under the earth, and stands 7 great hours in night, and spends half its course under the earth. When it comes to the eastern approach in the 8th hour of the night, it brings its lights, and the crown of shining, and the sun flames forth more than fire. Chapter 15. The elements of the sun, the phoenixes and chalkidri, broke into song. Then the elements of the sun, called phoenixes and chalkidri, break into song. Therefore every bird flutters with its wings, rejoicing at the giver of light, and they broke into song at the command of the Lord. The giver of light comes to give brightness to the whole world, and the morning guard takes shape, which is the rays of the sun, and the sun of the earth goes out, and receives its brightness to light up the whole face of the earth. And they showed me this calculation of the sun's going, and the gates which it enters. These are the great gates of the computation of the hours of the year. For this reason the sun is a great creation, whose circuit lasts 28 years, and begins again from the beginning. Chapter 16. They took Enoch, and again placed him in the east at the course of the moon. Those men showed me the other course, that of the moon, 12 great gates, crowned from west to east, by which the moon goes in and out of the customary times. It goes in at the first gate to the western places of the sun, by the first gates with 31 days exactly, by the second gates with 31 days exactly, by the third with 30 days exactly, by the fourth with 30 days exactly, by the fifth with 31 days exactly, by the sixth with 31 days exactly, by the seventh with 30 days exactly, by the eighth with 31 days perfectly, by the ninth with 31 days exactly, by the 10th with 30 days perfectly, by the 11th with 31 days exactly, by the 12th with 28 days exactly. And it goes through the western gates in the order and number of the eastern, and accomplishes the 365 and a quarter days of the solar year, while the lunar year has 354, and there are wanting to it 12 days of the solar circle, which are the lunar epochs of the whole year. Thus, too, the great circle contains 530 to 2 years. The quarter of a day is omitted for 3 years, the fourth fulfills it exactly. Therefore they are taken outside of heaven for 3 years, and are not added to the number of days, because they change the time of the years to 2 new months towards completion, to 2 others towards diminution. And when the western gates are finished, it returns and goes to the eastern to the lights, and goes thus day and night about the heavenly circles, lower than all circles, swifter than the heavenly winds, and spirits, and elements, and angels flying. Each angel has 6 wings. It has a 7-fold course in 19 years. Chapter 17. Of the singings of the angels, which it is impossible to describe. In the midst of the heavens I saw armed soldiers serving the Lord with tympana and organs, with incessant voice, with sweet and incessant voice, and various singing, which it is impossible to describe, and which astonishes every mind, so wonderful and marvelous is the singing of those angels. And I was delighted listening to it. Chapter 18. Of the taking of Enoch on to the 5th heaven. The man took me on to the 5th heaven and placed me, and there I saw many and countless soldiers called Grigori, of human appearance, and their size was greater than that of great giants, and their faces withered, and the silence of their mouths perpetual. And there was no service on the 5th heaven. And I said to the men who were with me, Wherefore are these very withered, and their faces melancholy, and their mouths silent? And wherefore is there no service on this heaven? And they said to me, These are the Grigori, who with their prince Satanael rejected the Lord of light, and after them are those who were held in great darkness on the 2nd heaven. And 3 of them went down onto earth from the Lord's throne, to the place Hermon, and broke through their vows on the shoulder of the hill Hermon, and saw the daughters of men how good they are, and took to themselves wives, and befouled the earth with their deeds, who in all times of their age made lawlessness and mixing, and giants are born, and marvelous big men, and great enmity. And therefore God judged them with great judgment, and they weep for their brethren, and they will be punished on the Lord's great day. And I said to the Grigori, I saw your brethren and their works, and their great torments, and I prayed for them, but the Lord has condemned them to be under earth till heaven and earth shall end forever. And I said, Wherefore do you wait, brethren, and do not serve before the Lord's face, and have not put your services before the Lord's face, lest you anger your Lord utterly? And they listened to my admonition, and spoke to the 4 ranks in heaven, and lo, as I stood with those 2 men, 4 trumpets trumpeted together with great voice, and the Grigori broke into song with one voice, and their voice went up before the Lord pitifully and affectingly. Chapter 19. Of the taking of Enoch onto the 6th heaven. And thence those men took me and bore me up unto the 6th heaven, and there I saw 7 bands of angels, very bright and very glorious, and their faces shining more than the sun's shining glistening, and there is no difference in their faces or behavior or manner of dress. And these make the orders and learn the goings of the stars, and the alteration of the moon, or revolution of the sun, and the good government of the world. And when they see evil doing, they make commandments and instructions, and sweet and loud singing, and all songs of praise. These are the archangels who are above angels, measure all life in heaven and on earth, and the angels who are appointed over seasons and years, the angels who are over rivers and sea, and who are over the fruits of the earth, and the angels who are over every grass, giving food to all, to every living thing, and the angels who write all the souls of men, and all their deeds, and their lives before the Lord's face. In their midst are 6 phoenixes and 6 cherubim, and 6 winged ones continually with one voice singing one voice, and it is not possible to describe their singing, and they rejoice before the Lord at his footstool. Chapter 20. Hence they took Enoch into the 7th heaven, and those 2 men lifted me up thence on to the 7th heaven, and I saw there a very great light, and fiery troops of great archangels, incorporeal forces, and dominions, orders, and governments, cherubim and seraphim, thrones and many-eyed ones, 9 regiments, the Iowanite stations of light, and I became afraid, and began to tremble with great terror. And those men took me, and led me after them, and said to me, Have courage, Enoch, do not fear, and showed me the Lord from afar, sitting on his very high throne. For what is there on the 10th heaven, since the Lord dwells here? On the 10th heaven is God. In the Hebrew tongue he is called Aravat. And all the heavenly troops would come and stand on the 10 steps according to their rank, and would bow down to the Lord, and would again go to their places in joy and felicity, singing songs in the boundless light with small and tender voices, gloriously serving him. Chapter 21. Of how the angels here left Enoch at the end of the 7th heaven, and went away from him unseen, and the cherubim and seraphim standing about the throne, the 6-winged and many-eyed ones do not depart, standing before the Lord's face doing his will, and cover his whole throne, singing with gentle voice before the Lord's face, Holy, 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 Lord ruler of Sabaoth, heavens and earth are full of thy glory. When I saw all these things, those men said to me, Enoch, thus far as it commanded us to journey with thee. And those men went away from me, and thereupon I saw them not. And I remained alone at the end of the 7th heaven, and became afraid, and fell on my face, and said to myself, Woe is me! What has befallen me? And the Lord sent one of his glorious ones, the archangel Gabriel, and he said to me, Have courage, Enoch, do not fear, arise before the Lord's face into eternity, arise, come with me. And I answered him, and said in myself, My Lord, my soul is departed from me, from terror and trembling. And I called to the men who led me up to this place. On them I relied, and it is with them I go before the Lord's face. And Gabriel caught me up, as a leaf caught up by the wind, and placed me before the Lord's face. And I saw the 8th heaven, which is called in the Hebrew tongue Muzaloth, changer of the seasons, of drought, and of wet, and of the 12 signs of the zodiac, which are above the 7th heaven. And I saw the 9th heaven, which is called in Hebrew Kuchavim, where are the heavenly homes of the 12 signs of the zodiac. Chapter 22. In the 10th heaven, the archangel Michael led Enoch to before the Lord's face. On the 10th heaven, Aravoth, I saw the appearance of the Lord's face, like iron made to glow in fire, and brought out, emitting sparks, and it burns. Thus I saw the Lord's face, but the Lord's face was ineffable, marvelous, and very awful, and very, very terrible. And who am I to tell of the Lord's unspeakable being, and of his very wonderful face? And I cannot tell the quantity of his many instructions, and various voices, the Lord's throne very great, and not made with hands, nor the quantity of those standing round him, troops of cherubim and seraphim, nor their incessant singing, nor his immutable beauty. And who shall tell of the ineffable greatness of his glory? And I fell prone, and bowed down to the Lord, and the Lord with his lips said to me, Have courage, Enoch, do not fear, arise, and stand before my face into eternity. And the archistreche, Michael, lifted me up, and led me to before the Lord's face. And the Lord said to his servants, tempting them, Let Enoch stand before my face into eternity. And the glorious ones bowed down to the Lord and said, Let Enoch go according to thy word. And the Lord said to Michael, Go and take Enoch from out his earthly garments, and anoint him with my sweet ointment, and put him into the garments of my glory. And Michael did thus, as the Lord told him. He anointed me, and dressed me, and the appearance of that ointment is more than the great light, and his ointment is like sweet dew, and its smell mild, shining like the sun's ray. And I looked at myself, and was like one of his glorious ones. And the Lord summoned one of his archangels by name Provuil, whose knowledge was quicker in wisdom than the other archangels, who wrote all the deeds of the Lord, And the Lord said to Pravuil, Bring out the books from my storehouses, and a reed of quick writing, and give it to Enoch, and deliver to him the choice and comforting books out of thy hand. Chapter 23. Of Enoch's writing, how he wrote his wonderful journeyings and the heavenly apparitions, and himself wrote 366 books. And he was telling me all the works of heaven, earth, and sea, and all the elements, their passages and goings, and the thunderings of the thunders, the sun and moon, the goings and changes of the stars, the seasons, years, days, and hours, the risings of the wind, the numbers of the angels, and the formation of their songs, and all human things, the tongue of every human song and life, the commandments, instructions, and sweet-voiced singings, and all things that it is fitting to learn. And Pravuil told me, All the things that I have told thee, we have written. Sit and write all the souls of mankind, however many of them are born, and the places prepared for them to eternity, for all souls are prepared to eternity before the formation of the world. And all double 30 days and 30 nights, and I wrote out all things exactly, and wrote 366 books, chapter 24, of the great secrets of God, which God revealed and told to Enoch, and spoke with him face to face. And the Lord summoned me, and said to me, Enoch, sit down on my left with Gabriel. And I bowed down to the Lord, and the Lord spoke to me, Enoch, beloved, all thou seest, all things that are standing finished, I tell to thee even before the very beginning, all that I created from non-being, and visible things from invisible. Hear, Enoch, and take in these my words. For not to my angels have I told my secret, and I have not told them their rise, nor my endless realm, nor have they understood my creating, which I tell thee today. Before all things were visible, I alone used to go about in the invisible things, like the sun from east to west, and from west to east. But even the sun has peace in itself, while I found no peace, because I was creating all things, and I conceived the thought of placing foundations and of creating visible creation. Chapter 25. I commanded in the very lowest that visible things should come down from invisible, and a doyle came down very great, and I beheld him, and lo, he had a belly of great light. And I said to him, Become undone, a doyle, and let the visible out of you. And he came undone, and a great light came out. And I, in the midst of the great light, and as there is born light from light, there came forth a great age, and showed all creation, which I had fought to create. And I saw that good. And I placed for myself a throne, and took my seat on it, and said to the light, Go thence up higher, and fix yourself high above the throne, and be a foundation to the highest things. And above the light there is nothing else. And then I bent up and looked up from my throne. Chapter 26. And I summoned the very lowest a second time, and said, Let Arcas come forth hard. And he came forth hard from the invisible. And Arcas came forth hard, heavy, and very red. And I said, Be opened, Arcas, and let there be born from you. And he came undone. And age came forth very great and very dark, bearing the creation of all lower things. And I saw that good, and said to him, Go thence down below, and make yourself firm, and be a foundation for the lower things. And it happened, and he went down and fixed himself, and became the foundation for the lower things. And below the darkness there is nothing else. Chapter 27. And I commanded that there should be taken from light and darkness. And I said, Be thick, and it became thus. And I spread it out with the light, and it became water. And I spread it out over the darkness below the light. Then I made firm the waters, that is to say, the bottomless. And I made a foundation of light around the water, and created 7 circles from inside, and imaged the water like crystal, wet and dry, that is to say, like glass, and the circumcision of the waters and the other elements. I showed each one of them its road, and the 7 stars each one of them in its heaven, that they go thus. And I saw that it was good. And I separated between light and between darkness, that is to say, in the midst of the water hither and thither. And I said to the light that it should be the day, and to the darkness that it should be the night. And there was evening, and there was morning the first day. Chapter 28. And then I made firm the heavenly circle, and made that the lower water which is under heaven collect itself together into one whole, and that the chaos become dry, and it became so. Out of the waves I created rock, hard and big, and from the rock I piled up the dry, and the dry I called earth, and the midst of the earth I called abyss, that is to say the bottomless. I collected the sea in one place and bound it together with a yoke. And I said to the sea, Behold, I give you your eternal limits, and you shall not break loose from your component parts. Thus I made fast the firmament. This day I called the first created. Chapter 29. And for all the heavenly troops I imaged the image and essence of fire, and my eye looked at the very hard, firm rock. And from the gleam of my eye the lightning received its wonderful nature, which is both fire in water and water in fire, and one does not put out the other, nor does the one dry up the other. Therefore the lightning is brighter than the sun, softer than water, and firmer than hard rock. And from the rock I cut off a great fire, and from the fire I created the orders of the incorporeal 10 troops of angels, and their weapons are fiery and their raiment a burning flame. And I commanded that each one should stand in his order. And one from out the order of angels, having turned away with the order that was under him, conceived an impossible thought, to place his throne higher than the clouds above the earth, that he might become equal in rank to my power. And I threw him out from the height with his angels, and he was flying in the air continuously above the bottomless. Chapter 30. On the third day I commanded the earth to make grow great and fruitful trees, and hills, and seed to sow, and I planted paradise and enclosed it, and placed as armed guardians flaming angels, and thus I created renewal. Then came evening, and came morning the fourth day. On the fourth day I commanded that there should be great lights on the heavenly circles. On the first uppermost circle I placed the stars, Chrono; on the second, Aphrodite; on the third, Aris; on the fifth, Zeus; on the sixth, Hermes; on the seventh, the lesser, the moon, and adorned it with the lesser stars. And on the lower I placed the sun for the illumination of day, and the moon and stars for the illumination of night. The sun, that it should go according to each constellation, 12, and I appointed the succession of the months and their names and lives, their thunderings, and their hour markings, how they should succeed. Then evening came, and morning came the fifth day. On the fifth day I commanded the sea, that it should bring forth fishes, and feathered birds of many varieties, and all animals creeping over the earth, going forth over the earth on 4 legs, and soaring in the air, male and female, and every soul breathing the spirit of life. And there came evening, and there came morning the 6th day. On the 6th day I commanded my wisdom to create man from 7 consistencies, his flesh from the earth, his blood from the dew, his eyes from the sun, his bones from stone, his intelligence from the swiftness of the angels, and from cloud, his veins and his hair from the grass of the earth, his soul from my breath, and from the wind. And I gave him 7 natures, to the flesh hearing, to the eyes sight, to the soul smell, to the veins touch, to the blood taste, to the bones endurance, to the intelligence sweetness. I conceived a saying to declare, I created man from invisible spiritual and from visible physical nature. Of both are his death and life and image. He knows speech like some created thing, small in greatness and again great in smallness. And I placed him on earth, a second angel, honorable, great, and glorious. And I appointed him as ruler to rule on earth and to have my wisdom. And there was none like him of earth of all my existing creatures. Chapter 31. I appointed him a name from the 4 component parts, from east, from west, from south, from north, and I appointed for him 4 special stars, and I called his name Adam, and showed him the 2 ways, the light and the darkness. And I told him, this is good, and that bad, that I should learn whether he has love towards me or hatred, that it be clear which in his race love me. For I have seen his nature, but he has not seen his own nature. Therefore through not seeing he will sin worse. And I said, after sin, what is there but death? And I put sleep into him, and he fell asleep. And I took from him a rib and created him a wife, that death should come to him by his wife. And I took his last word and called her name Mother, that is to say Eve. Chapter 32. Adam had life on earth, and I created a garden in Eden in the east, that he should observe the testament and keep the command. I made the heavens open to him, that he should see the angels singing the song of victory and the gloomless light. and he was continuously in paradise. And the devil understood that I wanted to create another world, because Adam was Lord on earth to rule and control it. The devil is the evil spirit of the lower places. As a fugitive he made Satana from the heavens, as his name was Satanael. Thus he became different from the angels. But his nature did not change his intelligence as far as his understanding of righteous and sinful things. And he understood his condemnation and the sin which he had sinned before. Therefore he conceived thought against Adam. In such form he entered and seduced Eve, but did not touch Adam. But I cursed ignorance, but what I had blessed previously, those I did not curse. I cursed not man, nor the earth, nor other creatures, but man's evil fruit and his works. Chapter 33. I said to him, Earth you are, and into the earth whence I took you, you shall go, and I will not ruin you, but send you whence I took you. Then I can again receive you at my second presence. And I blessed all my creatures, visible and invisible. And Adam was 5.5 hours in paradise. And I blessed the seventh day, which is the Sabbath, on which he rested from all his works. I appointed the 8th day also, that the 8th day should be the first created after my work, and that the first 7 revolve in the form of the 7,000, and that at the beginning of the 8,000 there should be a time of not counting, endless, with neither years nor months, nor weeks, nor days nor hours. And now, Enoch, all that I have told you, all that you have understood, all that you have seen of heavenly things, all that you have seen on earth, and all that I have written in books by my great wisdom, all these things I have devised and created from the uppermost foundation to the lower and to the end. And there is no counselor nor inheritor to my creations. I am self-eternal, not made with hands and without change. My thought is my counselor, my wisdom and my word are made, and my eyes observe all things, how they stand here and tremble with terror. If I turn away my face, then all things will be destroyed. Apply your mind, Enoch, and know him who is speaking to you, and take the books which you yourself have written. And I give you Samuel and Raguel, who led you up, and the books, and go down to earth, and tell your sons all that I have told you, and all that you have seen, from the lower heaven up to my throne and all the troops. For I created all forces, and there is none that resists me, or that does not subject himself to me. For all subject themselves to my monarchy, and labor for my sole rule. Give them the books of the handwriting, and they will read them, and will know me for the creator of all things, and will understand how there is no other God but me. And let them distribute the books of your handwriting, children to children, generation to generation, nations to nations, and will give you Enoch, my intercessor, the archistratage Michael, for the handwritings of your fathers Adam, Seth, Enos, Canaan, Mahalaleel, and Jared your father. Chapter 34. They have rejected my commandments and my yoke. Worthless seed has come up, not fearing God, and they would not bow down to me, but have begun to bow down to vain gods, and denied my unity, and have laden the whole earth with untruths, offenses, abominable lecheries, one with another, and all manner of other unclean wickedness which are disgusting to relate. And therefore I will bring down a deluge upon the earth, and will destroy all men, and the whole earth will crumble together into great darkness. Chapter 35. Behold, from their seed shall arise another generation much afterwards, but of them many will be very insatiate. He who raises that generation shall reveal to them the books of your handwriting, of your fathers, to them to whom he must point out the guardianship of the world, to the faithful men and workers of my pleasure, who do not acknowledge my name in vain. And they shall tell another generation, and those others having read shall be glorified thereafter, more than the first. Chapter 36. Now Enoch, I give you the term of 30 days to spend in your house, and tell your sons and all your household, that all may hear from my face what is told them by you, that they may read and understand how there is no other God but me, and that they may always keep my commandments, and begin to read and take in the books of your handwriting. And after 30 days I shall send my angel for you, and he will take you from earth and from your sons to me. Chapter 37. And the Lord called upon one of the older angels, terrible and menacing, and placed him by me, in appearance white as snow, and his hands like ice, having the appearance of great frost. And he froze my face, because I could not endure the terror of the Lord, just as it is not possible to endure a stove's fire and the sun's heat and the frost of the air. And the Lord said to me, Enoch, if your face be not frozen here, no man will be able to behold your face. Chapter 38. And the Lord said to those men who first led me up, Let Enoch go down unto earth with you, and await him till the determined day. And they placed me by night on my bed. And Methuselah, expecting my coming, keeping watch by day and by night at my bed, was filled with awe when he heard my coming. And I told him, Let all my household come together, that I tell them everything. Chapter 39. O my children, my beloved ones, hear the admonition of your father, as much as is according to the Lord's will. I have been let come to you today, and announce to you, not from my lips, but from the Lord's lips, all that is and was, and all that is now, and all that will be till judgment day. For the Lord has let me come to you. You hear therefore the words of my lips, of a man made big for you. But I am one who has seen the Lord's face, like iron made to glow from fire, it sends forth sparks and burns. You look now upon my eyes, the eyes of a man big with meaning for you. But I have seen the Lord's eyes, shining like the sun's rays and filling the eyes of man with awe. You see now, my children, the right hand of a man that helps you. But I have seen the Lord's right hand filling heaven as he helped me. You see the compass of my work like your own, but I have seen the Lord's limitless and perfect compass, which has no end. You hear the words of my lips, as I heard the words of the Lord, like great thunder incessantly with hurling of clouds. And now, my children, hear the discourses of the Father of